Let's explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Okay.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herald here on Badlands Media. I'm your host, Jon Herold, and happy Tuesday. See all the regulars in the chat. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day so far. We are entering, I think this is day 3 or 4. I need to figure out when the first bomb was dropped, but welcome to the 3rd or 4th day anniversary of the Iran war. I got a couple clips on that. We'll talk about it. Good to see you, Ty, Jackie, Scheisler, AOB, CC. I mean, I don't want to list everybody in the chat. That would take forever. But there's some interesting clips that have come out. Some conflicting and contradicting messages we're getting from Trump and the admin regarding the reason we started bombing Iran. And I think it's worth discussing. We'll get into that. I'm going to try not to talk about the purity test stuff going on, but there's another like pretty good example of it. We'll see. I have a ton of headline or tabs open for the show today. We'll see if we get through them all. Day 3 is complete. Okay. Stuff in audiobooks. War. Yeah, it's a war. And this is one of the things I think is funny. Like when it comes down to the definition of whether at war or not, a lot of the same people that are saying Trump didn't start a war, he's ending a 47-year war. Those are a lot of the same people that don't want to call it a war. They want to call it a military operation. Have you noticed that? Jackie Espada, is today a boring news day again? I wouldn't say it's a boring news day. It sucks. Like the Iran thing, it's kind of dominating the headlines, and I think probably for good reason. And so outside of discussion about that, it seems a lot of other things are, I don't know, falling to the wayside, not as discussed. Tough to like find like really cool stories that are super interesting. There's really not many really cool stories that are super interesting anyway on normal days. Ramon 222, Trump is taking out the deep state country of Iran. That is what we are hoping and what we're kind of assuming. Iran is toast, not a war now, a cleanup. Yeah, you know, there's just so much misinformation about this. I don't think nobody really knows what Iran's capability is. And Marco Rubio actually had a comment today or yesterday that was, I mean, the math on this is a little concerning. Take a listen.
They are producing, by some estimates, over 100 of these missiles a month. Compare that to the 6 or 7 interceptors that can be built a month. They can build 100 of these a month, not to mention the thousands of one-way attack drones that they also have.
So the hard part, a lot of people are interpreting this as the United States and Israel, like we can only build 6 to 7 interceptors a month. I'm not 100% sure, and he didn't really clarify if that's us that can build like at that pace or them. If it really is us that like we can only, in our side, can only produce 6 to 7 interceptors a month, one, that'd be shocking. But 2, like the math on that is kind of devastating. They can produce 100 missiles a month. We can only produce 6 to 7 interceptors. I don't know. And there's some footage coming out of Israel too that doesn't look too good for Tel Aviv at the moment. Let me play this.
Tel Aviv, I can't believe this.
I mean, first reaction, you'd be like, well, is this even real? There's so much AI floating around. Not that this would make it any more real, but there are a lot of like Jerusalem Post and outlets that are saying this is real. If it is, I mean, obviously it's super concerning that these missiles got through. Well, we're going to get into a lot of this stuff. Before we do, let's get a quick word from a couple of our sponsors. I want first, real quick, before I even do that, I want to get that loaded in there. Okay. Scales Gear. The Scales Freedom Collection is where the open ocean meets the red, white, and blue seas we all call home. Inspired by salt air, tight lines, and the rhythm of the tide and waves, this collection channels the spirit of freedom through the lens of a waterman's lifestyle. From long-sleeve performance shirts built for the elements to butter-soft tees and hats adorned with bold ocean-inspired America prints, every piece is designed to keep you cool, protected, and connected to the water that sets us free. From weed lines to tree lines, we love our freedom. Shop now at badlandsmedia.tv/scales and enter the code BADLANDS at checkout for 20% off your next purchase. That's badlandsmedia.tv/scales and enter the code BADLANDS at checkout for 20% off your next order. And then we also got a little Badlands soft disclosure beard oil.
Legend says, on St. Patrick's Day, a beard without oil is just a chin with ambition. But a beard with soft disclosure beard oil, that's true treasure. Spiced vanilla, naked, smooth as a leprechaun's getaway plan. Soft enough to impress your barber, bold enough to confuse a baby goat. And this boar bristle brush tames your beard like it holds the crown coin. Every bottle is American made, which means when you buy Soft Disclosure, you're supporting 6 American small businesses. That's not luck, that's capitalism with cheekbones. And while you're at it, try our mint green deodorant, because even legends need fresh pits. Soft Disclosure, go for gold. Visit softdisclosure.com and use promo code TINYBRIGHT for 15% off.
These statements have been evaluated by the FDA. Promo code does not apply to bundle discounts.
Tiny Bright, guys. I've seen a couple things in the chat. Cannon fodder. John, since you want to do the opposite of what people say you should do, please don't give me free access to Virtual Gart. Yeah, I'm probably not going to do that, but that's really funny. Maybe I will just because of how funny that was. A couple things. I doubt Rubio will give us actual numbers when it comes to weapon capacity. I mean, obviously that's probably true. You know, maybe that's not actual numbers. And he more than likely was talking about their capabilities. It seems everybody's interpreting it the opposite way, but obviously the mainstream media sucks and didn't ask for clarification on that. Where else? There's another one I want to see. Hammer Guy 35 says, nice to see Israel getting pounded again today. You know, I don't like to see anybody get pounded with missiles. It's unfortunate. Loss of life is unfortunate all the way around. Wars suck, man. What else? There's one more comment I wanted to read. Spetzel John loves this version because of the happy ending. Heck yeah. Do 1111 line. John, thanks for mentioning Doc Pete Chambers for governor of Texas yesterday. I watched your show late. When he wins today, please interview him, even though he isn't national. Yeah, if you can get me in touch, I'm open to interviewing him. How many old world buildings will the IDF destroy in Iran? That's a good question. Get pounded. Anyway, no update on the Doge website. No surprise there. We're too busy duking it out with foreign countries to update the website. We also got update on the silver prices. Let me see what's at. It was down to 83, 88. Gold down to 5,100. Bitcoin was up a little bit though last time I checked. Yeah, that's 68,000. And the only update on the presidential website is these nominations to the Senate. I read through them. Nothing really sticks out on any of these, so won't spend any time on that. By the way, guys, if you're going to get gold, if you're in the, interested in purchasing gold, badlandsgold.com. If you're looking for Bitcoin, badlandsmedia.tv/river. The economy, like the Dow, has been down. Dow dropped 800 points as oil surges. Yeah, I think I had the story on it. Yeah. The 30 stock index is down 1,277.93 points at its low of the session. The S&P 500 slipped 1.6%. NASDAQ composite was down 1.7%. Comms. And at the lows of the day, the S&P 500 had lost 2.5. The NASDAQ was down 2.7. They're all in the red. A lot of this is because of, obviously, the war that's going on. Brent crude oil, the global benchmark, surged 8% on Tuesday, topped $84 a barrel, following a 6% spike Monday. WTI crude jumped nearly 8% to above $77 a barrel after notching a 6% gain in the previous session. Adding to the jitters is President Donald Trump's warning that the conflict could continue for more than 4 weeks. That's the thing. Nobody knows. Nobody knows how this is going to play out, when this will play out or be done playing out. It's kind of a crapshoot at the moment, which I think is frustrating for everybody. Tattoo Teacher, I know you have to say we hate war and such, but many times we are happy when the bully gets it back. Yeah, I mean, no love lost for terrorists being taken out. Really anywhere. Like, I'm never going to lose sleep over that. My concern is, like, should we be focusing here domestically and let people over there take care of that? Like, do we need to be the ones involved? And that's some of the things we'll discuss today, because there's been some concerning rhetoric over the reason we got into this, and I think we should at least discuss it. Let's start with this. Marco Rubio yesterday did a press conference, and I'll play a couple clips from it. But this was the main story. There was an imminent threat. Fury as Marco Rubio admits Israel forced U.S. into war with Iran. It's the worst possible thing. And I'm going to play the full clip here in a little bit. I just want to go through a couple stories first, because a lot of people are saying this is what he said, and it very much sounded like that's what he said. The administration is coming out saying, no, that's not what happened. The frustrating part is nobody's telling us the truth. We can't know if we're getting the truth. We're very likely not getting the truth. There's so much going on behind the scenes. There's so much that we don't know, and they're just trying to keep us at bay in a sense, and that's really frustrating when it comes to situations like these. The U.S. launched preemptive strikes against Iran after learning Israel was about to attack, and American troops in the region faced an imminent threat of retaliation, Marco Rubio said on Monday. Rubio made the revelation on Capitol Hill, where he briefed a small group of congressional leaders on the joint U.S.-Israel offensive. There absolutely was an imminent threat, and the imminent threat was that we knew that if Iran was attacked, and we believed that they would be attacked, that they would immediately come after us, and we were not going to sit there and absorb a blow before we responded. Now, the way he said that, that's essentially Israel getting us into war, okay? The way he said that. Well, let's play the clip. And there's a bunch of these stories coming out too. No, Marco Rubio didn't claim that Israel dragged Trump into war with Iran. Large cadre of commenters have been arguing that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dragged U.S. President Donald Trump unwillingly into war with Iran. At first blush, this theory received a boost from comments made by Rubio Monday. But when you listen to Rubio's full comments in context, it's pretty clear that he wasn't advancing this claim. In his remarks, Rubio made two main points. One was about the purpose of the war against Iran, which he said was to eliminate Iran's ballistic missile threat, attack drones, and threat its Navy poses to global shipping. He then said, the second question I've been asked is, why now? In answering this question, Rubio said, we knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties. This is the clip that is being taken as proof that Rubio said that Netanyahu forced us into war. But those making this argument are conflating the question why with the question why now. In fact, if you watch the full press conference, Rubio makes it clear at about the 5-minute mark, he's asked explicitly whether he's saying that the U.S. was forced to attack Iran because of an impending Israeli action, and he responded no. He goes on to say that's the question of why now. But this operation needed to happen because Iran, in about a year or a year and a half, would cross the line of immunity, meaning they would have so many short-range missiles, so many drones, that no one could do anything about it because they could hold the whole world hostage. Look at the damage they're doing now. And this is a weakened Iran. Imagine a year from now. So that had to happen. Obviously, we were aware of Israeli intentions and understood what that would mean for us, and we had to be prepared to act as a result of it. But this had to happen no matter what. So, they're kind of playing the semantics game a little bit, because they're saying that we had to do this at some point or another. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's not. We'll never know at this point. But the why now, like the reason we got involved right now, they are saying is because of Iran. Maybe that's not the why overall. Maybe no matter what, this is going to happen with our involvement. But the why now, they're making it pretty clear. Yeah, Israel is going to do it. And so we just decided we better do it first and do it with them, because they're going to retaliate against everybody anyway. And we're going to get caught in that crossfire. But we'll listen to some of the clip here.
pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act. Going back to the purpose. The purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability? What they are trying to do and have been trying to do for a very long time is build a conventional weapons capability as a shield where they can hide behind it. Meaning, there would come a point where they have so many conventional missiles, so many drones, and it can inflict so much damage that no one can do anything about their nuclear program. That is what they were trying to do, is put themselves in a place of immunity where the damage they could inflict on the region would be so high that no one can do anything about their nuclear program or their nuclear ambitions. They are producing, by some estimates, over 100 of these missiles a month. Compare that to the 6 or 7 interceptors that can be built a month. They can build 100 of these a month, not to mention the thousands of one-way attack drones that they also have. They've been doing this for a very long time. And by the way, they've been doing it under sanction. You see the attacks they're conducting right now? They're attacking airports. They're attacking hotels. They're hitting not just military bases. They're attacking our embassies directly. They're attacking facilities that have nothing to do with war or with military. And that's a weakened Iran. That's in Iran despite years of sanction. Imagine a year from now or a year and a half from now, the capabilities they would have to inflict damage on us. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics. The Ayatollah was a radical cleric. That entire...
I don't know, guys. It's tough. I guess it's not tough. It's easy to sit here, from behind a computer screen and play armchair geopolitical quarterback and criticize thing, hindsight 2020, all that stuff. And again, I'm not trying to discount any of the bigger speculative trust the plan type stuff, because I do believe there is bigger things in motion behind the scenes. The sovereign alliance stuff, the regions of responsibility Trump talked about in the national security strategy, national defense strategy. I do see that as the goal. And there are a lot of things shaping up across the world that are fitting into that, theory. A lot of things. And something needs to be done here eventually. We can make that case. Did we need to be directly involved? I don't know. I wish we wouldn't be, obviously. But it's at this point, it is what it is. And so now, I think the thing we need to be doing is just demanding the truth from the administration. We can handle it. And we deserve it. If we're going to be sending our troops over there and our tax dollars, for those who still choose to pay, is supporting this, I think we deserve the truth over why and the bigger picture. Now, obviously, some of the bigger picture, I get it. They're not going to share classified stuff and secret stuff, whatever, even though I think they should be. But yeah, it's not fun seeing these things, these contradicting narratives, and knowing we're being lied to. Let me play this clip too. This was Trump this morning when he was asked the same question.
Mr. President, did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did Netanyahu pull the United States into this war?
No, I might have forced their hand. You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people that do this very successfully and have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready and we were ready. And we've had a very, very powerful impact.
So he's denying it. And obviously he's not going to throw Israel under the bus right now. I'd encourage you guys to make sure you tune in to Ghost today. I think he's doing his Geopolitics with Ghost, where he's going to go over a lot of this stuff. He's definitely got a better understanding and take on this than I do. And yes, guys in the chat, I know that you don't broadcast the whole truth about stuff like this because the enemy will know what's going on. And I'm willing to accept that. But obviously when we see we're being lied to and there's contradicting statements and stuff. It's we don't have to accept that. We can understand why they're doing it. If they would just tell us that, like, just tell us that. So, you know, there's stuff and reasons and justifications for why we did this that we can't tell you now. We'll tell you later when we're done. Maybe that'd be enough to appease me. I don't know. Probably not. But going to demand the truth, like always. We, meaning folks here, can handle it. There's lots who can't. We say that, but we don't know that for sure. We don't know that for sure until we do it. Bass Burns, you used to plan wars for Iran. We're going to have you turn yourself into 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Marie in the Woods. Somebody planned wars for Iran? What? I don't believe it. Isn't there a story that Trump had access to Project Looking Glass? Maybe he saw Iran launch the first nuke. We were told they didn't have nukes. And it did shift from, like even Rubio said there, it was no longer about the threat of a nuke. It was how many ballistic missiles they had and the damage they could do with those. So they kind of switched the rhetoric on that. Ramon 222, either way it's happening, pray that it's a successful removal of evil. Absolutely. Kelsey Rank says, we can trust the plan while understanding that the enemy still has a say. I don't like it either and appreciate all the skepticism from Badlands asking for the truth. Yeah, that's where I'm at. A lot of people don't like that, though. A lot of people don't like that. And I would urge restraint against people for automatically assuming that anybody who doesn't blindly support, you know, the war over there, like, don't just immediately try to crucify them, metaphorically or literally. Don't do that, because there are a lot of like well-meaning, not paid bots and shills or whatever, infiltrators that support Trump and also don't support the war don't want us to be fighting in that war. Like, there's a lot of those people that exist. And I think there's more damage being done by trying to vilify people who don't blindly cheerlead this than you're helping. Like the purity test. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but here I am. But a buddy of mine, a former Badlanders, he's probably black-pilled a little bit, it seems. You know, I know he's I'm not going to name names or anything, but he's definitely one of the OG Q guys, and just a solid dude. He's not as active in the community as I think he used to be, but he's typically got a pretty based take on things, and he doesn't support this either, and he's taken more of a all the way to the other end of the spectrum type stance on it, where, you know, I don't think he trusts any of it now. But a lot of people, instead of like, hey man, let's talk, like, why do you feel that way now? What do you think about this? Like, being a little more receptive, they're just, oh, doomer, I wonder how much he's getting paid to turn on Trump now and all these things. Like, that's so retarded. Absolutely retarded. You guys talk about how that community talks about how it's all about waking up the normies. It's all about waking up the normies. A lot of the normies don't support this war. And if you're going to treat every single one of those people as paid infiltrators, you're not going to wake up anybody. You're just going to make yourself look like clowns. And that's kind of what's happening. But we're not prophets. No, we are not. Hammer guy, always bomb your opponent while negotiating builds trust long term. Yeah, Trump was done with Iran's rope-a-dope negotiations. I do have a clip from, I think this is the one from Witkoff, talking about the negotiations.
Let me get a little in the weeds if we can. My understanding was you got to a point where you were discussing enriched uranium at very low levels for civilian purposes, although I don't think they really need it because they have all the energy they'd ever want. But did that come up? Was that offer made to them?
We discussed with them 10 years of no enrichment whatsoever, and we would pay for the fuel, and it was flatly rejected. And the president sent us in there to have a good faith negotiation. Pardon me?
You're saying that we would give it to them, and they rejected that?
We actually had that, and they rejected that, which told us at that very moment that they had no notion of doing anything other than retaining enrichment for the purpose of weaponizing.
You made a statement last week, and when I heard it, and I've known you for a long time, and you are a friend, and when you made the statement that, in fact, they may be a week away from possibly having capability, at that moment, I interpreted that to mean it's go time, it's over. Was I wrong? Was that the moment that it was over?
Well, I don't know if that exact moment it was over, but I know this. They have 10,000 roughly kilograms of fissionable material.
Wow.
That's broken up into roughly 460 kilograms of.
So what did we destroy when we bombed them back last June? Like, that's an honest question. I feel like we're, again, Trump, we know Trump is always conducting psyops. It's very possible that the attack we did last June, that's what that was. We don't know for sure, but I mean, again, the contradictions is the stuff that when you notice them, you call them out. Those are meaningful discussions to be had. Like, so we're told now they have 10,000 whatever pounds or kilograms of fissionable material. Were those not destroyed when we bombed their facilities in June? Where were those? Why didn't we bomb those too? Or I guess maybe that would have. I don't know how nuclear fission works. I don't know what would happen if we would have bombed that, but. Again, it's frustrating, not getting the truth. And I'm not going to harp on that too much. Rumpelstiltskin says, one of my best friends lives in Israel. Trump is bringing peace to the world. Idiot. Yes. Prayers for your friend. Hope they stay safe in Israel. I do believe Trump's goal, long term, obviously, is for peace to the entire world. Right now, though, there is a war going on and bombs are dropping, we're told, and people are dying, we're told. So we're going to talk about it and ask questions about why, because that's what we do here on my show. Wahlberg Forge, Iran isn't America. Let the Middle East do its thing. Agreed. Rumpelstiltskin, we are living in a very well-planned moment in time. Trust the plan. We are right on target. If you can tell me what that plan is, I will begin trusting it immediately. I think a majority of the people screw the polls. That's a bunch of BS. I believe the majority of people are on board with the short, quick, decisive strike. Yeah. I mean, maybe. I can, I'd be accepting of it. I'm accepting of whatever happens here. I think most people are. Like, it is what it is at this point. I don't want to be involved. I've said that a million times, and I know most people don't. I'm just more willing to voice that now than some people have timeline thresholds. I don't know. Like, at what point, question for you guys that are supportive of this, is there a time frame? And I think Chris might have said this on Saturday. Is there a certain number of weeks or months or whatever that this will go on that you would say, like, okay, well, now I'm no longer supporting of this? Because a lot of people who are saying, like, yeah, I am not supportive of American involvement in foreign wars, but I understand this. I'm supportive of this. It's going to be quick, decisive. If you're allowing it to go on, if like you don't criticize it at all, and it just goes on and on and on, then you're not really against American involvement in foreign wars. You're just saying that. Maybe you don't have an actual opinion on it, which is fine too. But if there's a timing effect to something that goes against your principles, like something goes against your principles, but only after a certain amount of time, then wouldn't it go against your principles now too? Like the timing, if something is going against your principles, it shouldn't matter how long it takes, you know? I guess that's my thoughts on it. Maybe I'm retarded. I am retarded. John, what about the idea, this is from Bass Burns, of the idea of we have to clear the headspace of Iran before we can clean it up here, as in it's all connected? And yeah, I mean, it very likely is all connected. I'm not saying it's not. I also think that there is a level of speculation to that people don't want to admit. We got to admit we're still speculating. Like, even the people, like I wrote the Devolution series. I believe there's something bigger going on. The Q drop stuff, everybody believes there's something bigger going on. But there still is a level of speculation involved with that line of thought. And people aren't willing to acknowledge that. And so, but knowing that's the case, and there's psyops going on all over the place, you still have to, I don't look at everything from all angles, operate in truth best you can. Do I sound like dumb today? I did not sleep well last night, and I don't know why. I just couldn't fall asleep. And I feel tired. I feel like I feel foggy. I'll say that. I feel slightly vaccinated. Wahlberg, if you don't know what you're talking about, just sit back and eat your popcorn. You did suck up. That's such a dumb take. Questioning the narrative sharpens everyone's understanding of what the F is going on. It's good. Yeah. I'm still censored and can't afford gas. My vote doesn't count. I don't give a shit about Iran. And see, a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people feel that way. Even people who are tuned into this stuff. People are afraid to say it because they're good. The way you get treated for questioning things at all. No, we're not afraid of Badlands, but people in the community, they're afraid to say that sometimes. That's unfortunate. We have learned via history to distrust any brand of war. We're not stupid. This time is a final chance to get it right and prove it all up. Finally, I remain hopeful the boss will get it right. I think we're all hopeful in that. Who's the guy who used to talk about a devolution? He's always in his car. I don't remember. Son is in the infantry, so I am biased to support the war. I support our troops. I'm supportive of Trump and what we're doing here. I just do not want to be involved in foreign wars. You can't hand out 9 sleeping pills to every red pill truth and make collective advancements. That's a good point. Bay Theory Dave, I've never felt it was about waking the normies, but managing them. Spencer, I disagree with and don't like Hannity, but remember that he was the best source of info that debunked Russiagate for 2.5 years. That's a good point. I thought we destroyed their delivery system, but they have other facilities for enrichment. It's possible. I don't know. We were told that they had no capability left. That is what they said. And now they're kind of backtracking that. Let's see if I can catch up with the chat. You guys are cruising today. Let's see. You can only judge a war's length of time by its effectivity in getting the task completed. Let's go over a full moon. Why is our military stopped intercepting the missiles that have been continuously fired over the last few years, allowing them to hit targets? It's the only change I've observed. And media attention. With John, no more foreign wars, America first. We've been burned on saving the world too many times. No more trust me, bro. Gotta demand accountability. Agreed. Too bad you don't always get what you want. I'm aware of that. I feel like it's just opening the door to other bad things. Did they just take out the remaining leaders that were gathered to pick their leaders? So my wife said she just heard. Yeah, that sounds like that's what they did. I think it's funny. People comment like, this is a show I've done every day for, not every day, but most weekdays, over 300 some episodes going back to January 21st, I believe, of 2025, when it was right after Trump got inaugurated. It's like, this is my show. I talk about things I want to talk about. Talk about like my opinions, stuff in the news, whatever. And then people come in the chat and like, why are you saying things that you want? You don't get what you want. Okay. Guess I'll just die. Questioning Trump's inconsistencies does not mean we don't support Trump. If we can't question what he does, we're in a cult like the left accuses us of. Yeah, anytime people are like, this is the response I'm going to go to, and this will hopefully be the last time I talk about it today. Unless you guys bring it up, then it's not my fault. But the people who are doing the purity test thing, like trying to accuse people who are questioning things or not, fully on board with the trust the plan rhetoric, just your rebuttal should be you sound vaccinated. And that you don't even need to prove it, but you can follow it up with, because Trump said to get the vaccine and you clearly must have took it because Trump said it was a good thing to take. And you don't question anything Trump does ever. It's so stupid. People have regressed. I think we talked about this Saturday, maybe before, but it feels like the awakening regressed fairly significant amount with Trump taking office. Not everywhere, not everybody, but this is why we think it's so important to just pursue the first principle approach in everything. You can't go wrong if you're constantly pursuing the first principles approach. You will be wrong sometimes, just like everybody is. But at least you know you're pursuing the things that you believe to be the truth. The only way John would take on the plan and know it is a plan is if he had a 10,000-page document that he could read and dissect and clearly understand what the plan is. Did I get it right? To a degree. It's just the people that say trust the plan, that when you ask them what's the plan, they can't tell you. And then if you point out a contradiction, they just say disinformation is necessary. And then if you point out an actual Q drop that goes against what they're saying, they call you a paid infiltrator shill. It's text every single time. There's no critical thinking with it. It's unfortunate. People have shut their brains off ever since Trump won. Yeah, that's how it feels. Iran's nuclear, this is from Kibbles, TJ Kibbles, good to see you, man. Iran's nuclear ambitions threaten global stability, sponsor terrorism via proxies, and oppress its people. A preemptive U.S. strike dismantles threats, overthrows installed regime, and helps secure peace. For sure. I mean, I don't disagree with any of that. Not at all. I just wonder, do you feel like we've done a good enough job here domestically first? This is the metaphor I use for a lot of things. Why are we sending money overseas when we have so many problems here? And I say, if my house was on fire and my neighbor's house is on fire, would I go take my resources, my water, and just immediately go to my neighbor's house and put out their fire first at the risk of my house burning down, even if my neighbor has less resources and ability to put out his own fire than I do? Or would I put out my fire first, fix my problems first, and then start looking outward if that's what is deemed necessary to go put out their fire? If the fire from their house will affect my house, yes, then I should probably go help put out their fire. But if my house is already on fire, it doesn't matter if I put out theirs because we're at risk of catching fire from theirs. We're already in a pickle there. Does that make sense? That's my thought process on this. And with most things, I am 100% America first, whether that's financially or militarily, whatever. And the threat of domestic terror groups that they're talking about, people that might come into or already in the sleeper cells, right? The fear of retribution, they're warning people. Shouldn't we make sure we clear all that out first? I mean, I know it's possible people will sneak through. You never know what can happen, but it's just stuff like that. I just want to take care of us first, and then we can worry about that stuff. If we're going to take out the deep state in Iran, love it. We haven't even taken out the deep state here yet, though. You know what I mean? That's where I'm coming from. Kara says, maybe if I wanted to burn for the insurance money for a new house. Okay, the metaphor is not perfect, but you get what I'm talking about. John, we have to pursue multiple objectives simultaneously. Certainly there are priorities, but Iran with nuclear capabilities is an existential threat to the world. Agreed. But we were told that threat didn't exist anymore. And if we didn't actually take out their threat before, that's fine. Just tell us that. If that's the real justification for this war, I can buy that. I think a lot of people can buy that. Where people are getting upset, I think, or getting, critical of the Trump administration is there are contradictions. And as with anything, when you see a contradiction, you're going to call it out. The world is connected. There are things that must be done to secure our future in America. There are dependencies for our America First agenda, and some of that is foreign deep state control. I get that. I'm not saying none of that exists. I understand. This is the thing. Whoops. I just dropped my mic. This is the thing. When I'm talking about this stuff, you guys got to remember, I'm not claiming to know everything because I certainly don't. I'm not claiming to be the smartest guy or the most well-versed in any of this stuff. I'm not claiming to always be right at all. But I do consume information, and I have been consuming information almost all day, every day for 5 years. I understand the bigger picture. Maybe I don't talk about that enough. I understand the connections to Iran and all the funding and the pallets of cash and all that stuff. I get it. I do. Doesn't change my first principles approach. I understand the reasoning behind it. Doesn't mean I support American involvement in foreign wars. Like, multiple things can be true at once. And everybody's so like black and white, like, well, if only you understood that, you know, the deep state Iran threat and how it's connected to ours and all these things. I do understand that. Maybe I don't talk about it enough, but I do understand that. And it doesn't change my approach or my thought process on, you know, let's take care of ours first and then work outwards. It's like, if the Iran deep state is connected to our deep state, if we took out our deep state first, doesn't that also sever the connection to Iran? And I know there's a million excuses as to, well, they'll just replace it and find more. You could make the same argument about taking out Iran's. You know what I mean? Like, we can play the what if game all day, which is, again, why I think it's so important to just operate on your first principles. But you don't know, John, like us. Damn it, John, you still haven't learned to rationalize. Yeah. John, just watch Ghost. He gives you another side. I talk to Ghost every day. Every single day. We're in a group chat. Which is why it's so funny. Like, you guys, I don't know. Maybe it's deserved. Treat me like I'm retarded sometimes, and I am retarded. But I'm not as retarded as you think. I understand the bigger picture. And I talk to Ghost literally all day. We're all talking about this stuff all day, every day. Our group chat is constantly going with everything all at once, talking about whether it's the Israel stuff or foreign funding or whatever it is. You name it. We talk about it as stuff breaks. PSYOPs all the time. Ghost of Base Patrick Henry says, think for yourself. Sounds like a Jewish mysticism. I would encourage you all to watch Ghost's show, by the way. I wish he kept the beard. He looked badass with the beard. His show with Bernie Brad on Sunday, Ghost is fire. Ghost is always fire. Good to see you in the chat, Ghost. Maybe Trump did a deal with the neocons to attack Iran in exchange for voting on the SAVE Act. Oh my gosh. Let's keep going here. I don't know if you guys saw the embassy in Jerusalem says they're not in a position at this time to evacuate or directly assist Americans in departing Israel. I mean, it kind of makes sense that we weren't actually planning to do this bombing when you consider the fact that we didn't get our people out of there. That's like one of the first things you do when you think a war is about to start and these people might be affected. Like, hey, we better get our people out of those embassies. Just pointing it out. Just noticing some things. All right, I think maybe it's probably not, but maybe that's the last of the Iran stuff. We'll see what other headlines I got as we go through. Minnesota is suing the Trump administration over a $243 million Medicaid funding freeze. So remember, J.D. Vance, he got up there with Dr. Oz, and they were talking about how they're going to combat fraud. And they're going to combat fraud by withholding funding from the people committing the fraud, which is a novel, brilliant idea. If, like, your government is committing fraud, you just don't give them the money anymore. But now they're suing to get that money back. And it's also stupid. We'll see what SCOTUS does, because I'm assuming that's where it's going to end up. And speaking of SCOTUS, they have halted New York District redraw, an emergency win for the GOP. The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday granted an emergency appeal from Republican Rep. Nicole Maliotakis. It's a weird last name to say. Blocking a state court order that required New York's Staten Island-based 11th congressional district to be redrawn ahead of the midterm elections. Maliotakis and New York Republican election officials asked the High Court to intervene after a state appeals court cleared the way for a redistricting commission to redraw the district. I hate the gerrymandering stuff. It's part of what's broken about our elections. Just saying. There's a weird story I wanted to show you guys. Oh, this is a narrative they're trying to. They just hate. The mainstream media do everything. Like, you can have earnest criticisms, that does exist in this world, but it's just so funny to see how the mainstream media spins everything negatively. Kash Patel gutted FBI counterintelligence team tasked with tracking Iranian threats days before U.S. strikes, sources say. They do mention in the article that the people were fired because of their role in the Mar-a-Lago raid. They deserve to be fired. And I mean, You can argue whether they deserve to be fired. That's fine, but it's ultimately up to Kash Patel. And he decided to fire them. Whether they actually did counterterrorism for a specifically Iranian threat, okay, interesting. Then why were they raiding Mar-a-Lago? That makes zero sense. This story is weird. We could probably have a decent discussion about this. A jury has found father of accused Apalachee high school student shooter guilty of murder and all other charges. The jury has found Colin Gray, the man whose teenage son is accused of killing 2 students and 2 teachers in a shooting, guilty of second-degree murder. They go down. Prosecutors argued that Colin Gray gave his son the weapon used in the shooting and ammunition, despite multiple warning signs that the boy's mental state was deteriorating. During closing arguments, the prosecution argued that Colin Gray was one person who could have prevented the mass shooting, pointing to signs that included multiple instances of violence in the years and months prior, as well as what they called a shrine to Nicholas Cruz, convicted of the 2018 shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida. After seeing sign after sign of his son's deteriorating mental state, his violence, his school shooter obsession, the defendant had sufficient warning that his son was a bomb just waiting to go off. Instead of disarming him, he gave him the detonator. I'm just curious, like, it's an interesting argument. This is a discussion that should be had. Do you think a father should be guilty of the son's crimes? I mean, you can question whether he did the right thing. Probably should have noticed, some of these warning signs. Probably shouldn't have given him a gun. But ultimately, he's not the one who pulled the trigger. You could argue that, what about the school principal or the teacher? Did they notice any warning signs? Did the FBI do their job and find any evidence or, motive or whatever ahead of time? Like, if we're going to make him guilty for just not noticing the signs and stopping a crime from happening, how many other people could be guilty of that same crime? You know what I mean? I feel like this is a very slippery slope when it comes to this stuff. I'm not sure I'm a fan of this. If he egged it on, that's different. If he was like an actual co-conspirator, that'd be different. And granted, guys, I haven't actually followed this case. I haven't read any of the court documents. I'm just basing it off the article. But the principle and the idea of it, I think, is worth exploring. Parents do not control their adult children. Under 18, perhaps responsibility is effective. Maybe. No parent is not responsible if that is the case. Then bring in mainstream media, school teachers, etc. John's mom from North Dakota. He knows all about slippery. John's from North Dakota. He knows all about slippery slopes. That's true. I kind of live on a slippery slope. It's what the left already does. Place blame on all but the guilty. This is the second case I've heard where the parents were convicted. The FBI will be guilty of everything, too, because they know all these people from previous experiences. Jess Koch says, I personally believe a parent should be held accountable. However, teachers have been keeping things from parents forever, so maybe teachers need to be looked into. That's a good point. Definitely. I mean, it really comes down to how much he was actually warned. The prosecutors in their closing arguments are saying that he saw signs after signs and still allowed him to get a gun. That's different than here, I know you're going to go do a school shooting with this gun. Please take it and have it. Or telling him to do it. It's just, I don't know. I don't love the argument. Colin Gray has admitted to giving his son the rifle, but said that he hoped to bond with Colt while hunting and shooting at the gun range. The defense argued that the teen should be the one held accountable, saying that Colin Gray did not know that his son was capable of such a violent act. Everybody wants to see somebody go to jail other than this young man right here, Attorney Jimmy Berry said, showing the jury a picture of Colt Gray during his closing arguments. This is the person who went into the high school and shot and killed 4 people he didn't even know and injured scores of others. This is the person who needs to be punished. He made a conscious decision to do this, a secretive decision. Colt Gray faces 55 counts, including murder and aggravated assault. He has previously pleaded not guilty. The teen's trial date has not been set. I could maybe see obstructing justice, but again, it just comes down to, was it a planned thing that he knew about and just did nothing to stop? I don't know. The things that we should discuss sometimes. A couple interesting True Social posts from Trump here. And I didn't even have a chance to read this article. I was going to this morning, but then got distracted. New York Times, a fascinating piece appearing in unlikely venue. The TLDR is, or T, he said that, he put TDLR, it should be TLDR. Nixon was the victim of a deep state plot so complex and enormous he could not fathom it. Trump is smarter, purging his enemies before they purge him. So I'm not going to discuss the article because I haven't read it yet, but maybe we'll do that tomorrow. But I'll post in the chat here for you guys. And then YouTube comment here. The plan is to take us to the brink of annihilation because only then will people have the will to change. I think it's going well. It certainly does feel that way. You just hope the plan is to like bring us back when we get there, right? And not just take us over. Oh boy. Trump posted this yesterday. He's still harping on the election stuff in the Save America Act, although for the most part, I haven't seen much on social media over this. America's elections are rigged, stolen, and a laughingstock all over the world. We are either going to fix them or we won't have a country any longer. I'm asking all Republicans to fight for the following. Save America Act. All voters must show voter ID identification. All voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. And then no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. Now, Trump is keeping this on the forefront of our minds here. There was talk about 2 weeks ago that Tulsi Gabbard was going to be showing him some sort of executive order or something, or a report. I think it was a report having to do with foreign interference in our elections and how vulnerable our machines are, and maybe whatever election shenanigans took place in the past, and that might spark some executive action. Trump has posted in the past that there will be voter ID for the midterms, regardless of whether Congress wants it or not. Meaning, the Save America Act, according to him, is actually meaningless. Doesn't matter. So this part of it is some sort of psyop. Maybe we don't grasp it fully. I certainly don't grasp it fully. Not claiming to, but it's a psyop. If he is being honest, which he may not be, that he can do the voter ID thing whether Congress wants it or not, that would make this completely meaningless. So something to take note of. But I'm curious to see what ends up being. We haven't gotten any details or wind really of it since John Solomon talked about it about a week ago. What else? I know I have more stories here. Hold on. Let me click through my tabs. There's some interesting AI stuff going on. Anthropic made a mistake in Pentagon talks and should correct course, according to Brendan Carr of the FCC. Anthropic made a mistake in its dealing with the Department of Defense. Brendan Carr said Anthropic had been in tense negotiations over the terms of its contract with the Pentagon. Startup asked for assurance that its technology would not be used for fully autonomous weapons or domestic mass surveillance of Americans. The DoD wanted Anthropic to agree to let the military use the models across all lawful use cases. And talk stalled. You guys see they made them like a critical supply chain risk. It's weird, man. The surveillance thing is the one that really concerns me. Like, I'm sorry for not trusting the government to, responsibly use potential mass surveillance tools. There's actually another story I think I have here where OpenAI is like discussing with the Pentagon, and now they're talking about more surveillance protections. And if I'm not mistaken, I think here in April, the FISA stuff is up for reauthorization. So that's something we'll be talking about in the future. But OpenAI and the Pentagon have agreed to strengthen their recently agreed contract following widespread backlash that domestic mass surveillance was still a real risk under the deal. Though the language has not been formally signed, the Pentagon's deal with Anthropic to use cloud for national security blew up, and the prospect of a securing agreement with OpenAI appeared to be on thin ice if concerns around mass domestic surveillance weren't addressed. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman approached Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering Emil Michael to rework the contract. Consistent with applicable laws, this is according to what the language is, according to what Axios saw, consistent with applicable laws, including the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution, National Security Act of 1947, FISA Act of 1978, the AI system shall not be intentionally used for domestic surveillance of U.S. persons and nationals. That word intentionally seems a little bit, provides a little bit too much leeway for my liking, because a lot of people can, say, oh, I didn't know, didn't mean to. Like the plausible deniability it leaves them, I'm not comfortable with. It should not be used, period, for domestic surveillance of U.S. persons and nationals. That's my opinion. But I don't know. They're gonna set this up, and they're gonna say they're doing everything they can to make sure that's not actually surveilling us, when they're definitely going to try surveilling us. For the avoidance of doubt, the department understands this limitation to prohibit deliberate tracking, surveillance, or monitoring of U.S. persons or nationals, including through the procurement or use of commercially acquired personal or identifiable information. When has the government ever not like abused their authority or lied, or they told us before that they weren't doing this stuff, and it turned out they have been the whole time? Don't trust it. Makes me uncomfortable. All right. I think with that, that's all the stories I had. So what do you guys want to talk about? CSUS Geochem says, I can hack your tire sensors in your car to locate you. Look it up. That's scary. Commander-in-Chief, I mean, the NSA already runs a copy of the entire internet for F's sake. How much more surveillance do they need? True. But it comes down to like, they have all this information on us in so many different ways. It's difficult to like combine it all. And that's what AI is going to end up doing. Soon we will have our own personal AIs and we'll be able to surveil them and everyone else. Yeah, I've been playing around with AI more. Like, I don't like using AI for research too much. Like, I will as a starting point, but AI is wrong all the time. Like, it's so stupid to see people try to debunk you on Twitter. Like, oh, see what Grok said? Grok agrees with me. This came up a lot with the whole glyphosate thing last week. But then you eventually will get it if you actually talk to it and show it things. Like, you'll be like, oh yeah, maybe I was wrong about that. Whoops. Well, how were you wrong in the first place? And how many people just like ask Grok one question and then like take that as gospel and like, see, I told you. Grok is wrong. AI is wrong a lot. A lot. And that's concerning. So I try not to use it for actual research stuff. What I do use it for is more like tool building. I've been playing around with coding, and I'm not a coder. I took a semester of computer science, computer engineering back in my second year of college. Turned out I don't know, wasn't a huge fan. So, but I have like some background, not a lot. But I use it for coding things, working on a couple like side projects when I have time, if I have time. Been kind of stalled out lately, but it can do some interesting things for you if you give it like the right parameters and play around with it a lot. Like the news aggregator website I've been working on, that's, again, I haven't touched in a while, but I think that's going to end up being really cool. It already works pretty well for what I'm looking for. Just need to refine some things. And then a couple other projects. I use AI for music. It's great too. I've seen a lot of people do it for music. I think it's really cool for like video stuff. I would love to at some point have us Badlanders, maybe script out a little movie and try to piece it together. I think that'd be cool and fun. Vibe coding, yeah. Miss Rise of Tire, good to see you. Says AI is really amazing for random everyday how-to stuff, tech troubleshooting, how to fix things, how to care for things, coding, creating. Yeah. Wahlberg Forge, AI is just like the Q-tards. It just repeats what it's told. I find it lies constantly. That is an astute observation, Wahlberg. Palantir CEO Peter Thiel just filed to sell over 2 million shares of Bitcoin. You mean 2 million coins? $2 million worth? There aren't shares of Bitcoin. They're sats. 2 million sats is only like 2 Bitcoin. What languages do you write, John? Python. If that's what you're asking. I use Grok and ChatGPT to like kind of cross-check themselves. And then I do it on my own PowerShell first to like make sure everything's running right. And then I'll send it over to what is it again? I was about to say BitChute. I want to make sure I say this right. Oh, what's it called? Why can't I think of this now? GitHub. That's what it is. GitHub. Yeah, GitHub. And then from there, it's over to Render, I think, is the other one. Like actually get it working. I don't know. It's also interesting. Learning a lot. Cloud is smarter than Grok. Yeah, I've heard that too, especially with the coding, and I may eventually switch to that. The thing I found with the AIs, though, when it comes to the coding stuff, and after this, I'll start wrapping up and send you over to Ghost. Both ChatGPT and Grok, they have a very difficult time remembering where you are. So like when I was building the website, I would get to a point like, okay, well, this is what I want. This is the layout I want. This is the search terms I want. These are the, whatever, like the clickable links I want on here. This is great. Now I want to change this one thing. I want to add like a better search function or something. And so I'd work with it to give me the code for it. I'd plug it in and it did that, but then it also reverted like 4 other things that I already said I wanted. Like it forgets where it's at as you're going through. And so you have to constantly like almost double check its work. And that's why I use them both at the same time to like, but they both do it in their own way. It's frustrating. I trust Matt Trump. I trust ChatGPT to be a good source for the official version of events like 9/11. Just pretend to be a credible normie. Yeah, that's the thing. It takes what you feed you. What it takes in and produces whatever it's fed, right? Like it, and that stuff is still so biased. Like I remember when I first started playing around with AI seriously, like a year and a half ago, and by playing around with like just to seeing if I can trust any of the information it's getting. And I was just going back and forth with it about the devolution theory. And yes, I know it's still theory. I know it's not proven. It may never be proven, but you can say the same thing about the Q drops or any of that. I was like asking you questions like, give me the plausibility of this and whatnot. And it would feed me rebuttals from like very anti Jon Herold people, like very anti me. People who were very disingenuous, terrible arguments. Like it wouldn't give any positive, wouldn't find any positive thoughts or opinions on the situation. It was all negative. Like, here's what this individual said, the same person who's been calling John a CCP person for however long. This is what he said about the devolution theory. So clearly that's true. But then you'd like go back and forth further. Like, okay, well, I can debunk that with just this. And like, oh yeah, I guess that's true. But then it'd still be like, well, it's still, very unlikely. Definitely didn't happen. And you keep feeding it stuff, and eventually, like, you can get it to give you the answer. But that's the thing. I don't even know if me convincing it means anything, because I could probably convince it of anything if you work at it long enough and set the parameters. Like, you can almost box it in to give you the answer you want, and it will do that. That's what's frustrating. If you want something to uncorrectly, do it yourself. Sorry, my words, whatever. I talk to Claude like my best friend. He talks back to me and understands what I'm getting at if I get more specific. Hells Bay voted in Texas today. I was the only person there aside from 8 precinct workers. Let's see what how that goes down there. I think my Git is set to private, Patrick Manuel. He says, John, what's your Git? I'm going to follow you there because I want to check out your work unless you have it set to private. But the thing is, if I like share my Git, does that mean somebody can like take my website and do the same thing I'm already doing? I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I like that idea. It's mine. Just kidding. No, can you message me on Twitter? Millionaires and billionaires will make big money on this military action. Yeah. Grok turned me as a Q-tard snitch. We moved from spreadsheets to pseudocode. So when everything started going wacky. The said Treasury will not use Anthropic nor Cloud. Yeah, if you want something done correctly, do it yourself. I agree. But like it's a great tool because I don't know how to code. Like I could not code my website by myself. Or if I wanted to, it would take me a long time to learn how to do it by just like the old-fashioned way, going through trial and error, reading, all that stuff. Patrick Man says, no, they can't change anything without first, but can they copy it and just like make it an exact copy of my thing? Anyway. All right, guys, I think that's going to be the end of the show for me today. I'm going to send you over to Ghost And do me a favor, hit the thumbs up whether you're on Rumble or YouTube. I'd appreciate if you guys, even if you don't watch YouTube, you don't have to support YouTube itself, but you could support us on YouTube. We're trying to reach more people. We're trying to like play around with their algorithm and see how we can navigate it and grow the platform there, because we do have the intention of reaching more people with our message of operating based on first principles, being highly frictional, and seeking the truth at all times. And we can't do that without your help, and we can't do that without reaching more people. We are not going to shame and crucify people who disagree with us. But again, we can't do it without your help. So like us across as many platforms as you can. It really does help us out with the algos when we get more likes and views on stuff. The financial incentive over on YouTube is minuscule. That's not why we're doing it. It's cool. It's cool that we can do it now. I think ever since we've been monetized, we've made like $75 or something, which is not the YouTube money I heard existed, but it's still better than nothing. But no, it's about reaching more people, and they're there. The user base over on YouTube is way bigger than the YouTube or than the viewer base on Rumble. Anyway, you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll get you out of here, and I'll see you back here again tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Daily Herald. One more thing. Another thing you can do is, I'm sure you all have like one friend in your mind that is maybe on a bubble of awaken, maybe normie, maybe leftist, I don't know. But do me and yourself a favor and share some Badlands shows with them that you think they might like. Maybe that's this one. That'd be ideal for me. But maybe it's baseless conspiracies. Maybe it's geopolitics with Ghost. Be anything. But you can help us grow our audience too. One message at a time. Once a week, find a new friend and be like, hey man, you should check this video out. Maybe it's one of our shorts. We're using a ton of shorts now over on Rumble or YouTube. We post them on Instagram too, I think. Find a clip that interests you, send it to a friend. Connection definitely helps. Anyway, you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Let's get started. That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.